What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Division 2 raids and 5 ways that I think, if done right, the raid could keep players here for the long term and give players something to grind for. Now, all we really know about the raid is if you go to the base of operation, there is a helicopter, and if you speak to the pilot, it says the raid is coming as a free DLC. Get your squad ready for the raid. The most epic part of Division 2 is yet to come. Defeat the most challenging bosses in this 8-player co-op mode. Now, it says epic rewards, and we're going to talk about a little bit of that in this video. Before you guys watch this video, I want to know what you guys think they can do in the raid that will make people want to play it long term. This is nothing but skills, so let's get into the video. So the first thing I want to get into is rewards for your gear items and how they look, because I think appearance items on, say, the holster that would drop, or say the knee pads that would drop, or say the chest piece, gloves, backpack, if all those items looked unique, right? Like if all those items made you stand out, so people knew, okay, that was a raid piece, that would make people have something to grind for. And that could be every single holster in the game, that could be every single backpack in the game would look different, but those would only drop in the raid, right? And we're going to talk about how those should be rolled. But before that, these could be all high-end pieces. I'm not even talking about gear set items. These just could be all brand sets that just look unique if they're dropped in the raid. Make the raid pieces look unique. So when I put on the raid chest, or I put on the raid mask, or I put on the raid backpack, everybody knows that those raid pieces are unique to the raid. So the only way you can look like that is if you complete the raid. So an example would be, imagine if all the pieces put together made you look like a hunter. For instance, say you look like one of the hunters if you had all the pieces together, and those pieces would only drop from the raid bosses. Tell me how many more people would be inclined to keep grinding the raid over and over, right? They would want to do the raid more than just once. They would continue to do it until they could get those pieces to fully look like a hunter. That's just one example of what they could do. And on the mask, like make the mask, like say if you had a mask on, it actually fit in the mask slot, so it had stats, but it looked like a hunter mask. That would be unique right there, like something really cool like that. So instead of you just having that small mask that you usually have on your gear sets right there, like this mask right here, imagine if this was a full mask that made you look like a hunter, but it had stats, it had attributes, it had talents. Now that would make a big difference, and I could see that being really cool and something people would really want to grind for, right? It gives people something to grind for. It gives people something to look for. And that's what looter shooters are about, right? Having that reason to grind for, to make your character not look different, but be unique and be more powerful. And that's where we jump into our next topic, roles. So the roles that you get on these gear set items, on these brand set items, need to be amazing, right? Because we just completed a raid. If the raid is hard, you want to be rewarded, right? Those boss drops need to be rewarding. So my recommendation would be, if you look at this mask right here, we have crit chance, cooldown reduction, health. Well, these roles would need to be fully maxed out. Whatever the role is, say crit chance can max roll to 20%. Well, you would have a 20% crit chance roll. Say the cooldown reduction maxed out at 40%. You would have a 40% cooldown reduction. Say the health roll maxed out at 15,000. You would have a 15,000 roll. And that would go for everything from crit damage, headshot damage, anything on your chest, backpack, holster. All those rolls will be fully maxed out. But the key thing to this is you could only get these 3 times a week. So if, say, the raid came in hard, challenging, and heroic, you would have 3 chances from the boss. So the boss would only drop these. But the thing is that they could drop in everything. You could have an RK piece, you could have a Gila piece, a 511 piece. All of these pieces could have a chance of dropping, but when they did drop from the boss, they would be god roll pieces, right? So they would have maxed out weapon damage, health, crit damage if this was the RK piece that dropped. Now say if it was this Badger Tough, well then it would have a maxed out health roll, maxed out assault rifle damage, maxed out marksman rifle damage, and all the rolls you always got would always be maxed out. So it would give people a reason to do the raids more and more, right? And you could do this 3 times a week. Then you would have to wait for it to reset so you could do it again. So really, depending on how many bosses are in the raid, each boss would have a chance of randomly dropping one of these pieces. And I feel that's how you keep the player base wanting to do the raids, wanting to team up with other players, and wanting to complete them. Because just like in Destiny 1, one of my favorite raid games of all time, man, I remember I used to do the raids every time I had a chance, and I ended up making 3 characters so I could do the raid more than once on each character. And it gave me something worth grinding for. And I feel that if we did that, if the Division 2 developers did something like this, it would cause players to actually want to do it. Because think about it, having the chance of getting maxed out rolls on your pieces and later on building builds off of that, you could have some really nice mid-max builds, but it would take you some time since the raids would be locked out once a week. Or you could continue to do the raids, you just wouldn't get the drops from the boss. The next thing I want to go to is weapon drops. So whether they want to add new exotics or whether they want to add maxed out high damage weapons, that would be another way they could do it. Say if the bosses or the end boss would always drop a God Roll Model 700 or a SIG 716, but the damage on those would always be higher because the name of it, say on the CTAR, it would say Raid CTAR, or it would say Raid Marine Super 90, and you knew it was a raid weapon because it said raid weapon and the damage roll on it was always a little bit higher. It would give players something to grind for, right? And if they don't want to do it with all the weapons, maybe add 2 exotic weapons that drop in the raid, that only drop in the raid, but it's random when they drop, so you don't always have a chance of getting them. Just like in all the raids in Destiny that I've played, all the raids I've ever done on any game, the drop rate is always random, so you have to do the raid more than once. You might not get it every single time, and that will give players a reason to keep doing the raid over and over, and that would give people something to grind for, and it would make it worth it, right? Because if you're grinding the raid and you finally get that item, it's rewarding because you completed a really hard task and you got rewarded for it randomly. The fourth way that they can make the grind worth it is raid apparel items. Yes, I said it, raid apparel items. Now there's a lot of apparel items that drop throughout the game, a lot of apparel items you can purchase, but I feel that if they can bring special raid boots, jacket, shirt, mask, glasses, hat, and make them randomly drop throughout the raid, it would give people a reason to grind the raid over and over. All these small things that you're doing in the game will make people want to play the game, make people want to play the raid. Now there are full uniforms, like the Demolitionist has one, Survivalist, Sharpshooter, but that would be a little bit easier to get. Say you beat the raid, they gave us this uniform, but I want to see small items drop throughout the raid. Like the pants, I would like to see some really cool pants. Maybe the raid pants look like hunter pants like I was explaining before. And then the trophies, everything that you get in the raid should be unique and make you want to continue to play the raid over and over. And I feel that apparel items is a great way for them to do that. So we've already talked about 4 ways. Now we're going to get into the 5th way. And this is the most important part. The raid must be challenging. Yes, it must be difficult. It must be challenging. It must take teamwork. I feel that if they can bring that to this raid, it would make a big difference, right? How challenging the raid is, how hard it is. That makes it rewarding when you complete something. When you complete something that's really challenging, really hard for the first time, you should be like, wow, that raid actually made me work. And I have a feeling that that's what they're pushing for in this, and I'm hoping that it lives up to all of our expectations. But besides the drops, besides the gear items, the weapons that they can add to make people have something to grind for and over, making it challenging will make it really worth it, right? Like making it hard, that people get frustrated, that people have to try to figure out different techniques, different possibilities for beating the raid. Now that will make it worth it at the end of the day, and I feel that that will make players engage in the raid a lot more and really want to beat it. Say if they can't beat it the first 2 times they try, that's a good thing, right? Like, don't make it so easy that first try you go through it, you beat it. I want people to wipe. I want people to have to start over. Make it hard, make it worth it, and then give us rewards for doing those raids. I feel like that can bring something for the community to grind for, something the community will be happy with, And at the end of the day, if people are grinding for that loot, if people are playing more, the community continues to grow and more people continue to play the game. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you would like to see in the raid. That's what the comment section's for. I always love reading those comments. It always gives me ideas, and I appreciate you guys supporting this channel. If you're new to my channel, first time watching one of my videos, don't be scared. Hit the subscribe button, turn notification bell on, so when I release a video, you guys get notified. And as always, if you guys need any help, check out my Discord. But until the next video, nothing but skills out.